Thank you for staying here on 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM. Good morning to you. Today is Tuesday, 8th of September 2020. Welcome to Political Voices. It's a session of comments, interviews, and analysis of current political trends, how they affect and shape your world. Time in the studio is 9:03 a.m. Now, in August 2019, shortly after the president won his second term in office, he swore in 44 ministers to run the government and achieve his next level agenda promises. Yesterday, Monday, in Abuja, the president, Muhammadu Buhari, presided over a two-day presidential retreat with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, some state governors, and secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, were in attendance. The essence of that retreat was to review the performance of each minister in delivering the priority mandates, including programs and projects assigned to them while they resumed office in 2019, identify key challenges to implementation of those key policies, and of course, re-strategize on how to accelerate delivery of results, given the current economic challenges that we're facing, especially due to COVID-19. And of course, according to the address given by the president yesterday before he went on to Niamey in Niger Republic for another engagement, he itemized the 9 priorities or 9 interrelated and interconnected priority areas, which are stabilizing the economy, achieving agriculture and food security, attaining energy sufficiency in power and petroleum products, improving transportation and other infrastructure, driving industrialization with a special focus on SMEs, expanding access to quality education, affordable healthcare and productivity of Nigerians, enhancing social inclusion by scaling up social investments, as well as building a system to fight corruption, improve governance, and strengthen national security. These are key areas the president and his team had focused on at the inception of this administration in 2019. On the program this morning, we're going to do a review of ministerial performance. Before we get to that, there are top trending political stories. And we see, according to reports, that the Education Minister Adamu was reportedly flown abroad for treatment, precisely in Germany. According to reports, they say the latest trip was the third time Adamu was flown abroad in recent months. He is reportedly undergoing treatment for a kidney-related procedure, and of course, the federal government eventually named John Momo as acting chairman of the governing council after removing Wale Babalaki. Adamu had not been seen in public in recent weeks, and he's expected to be back in the country as soon as possible. Away from that story to election matters as we count down to the gubernatorial election in Edo State. Reports say that 14 political parties are expected to, of course, sign a peace accord, as we usually witness before elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission INEC gave that report. 14 political parties that are to participate in that election in Edo State are expected to sign that peace accord. And of course, INEC expressed optimism that with all of these efforts, the election would be held peacefully. According to a webinar held yesterday, it was organized by the International Press Center, and the executive director, Larry Arogundade, of course, engaged INEC and other stakeholders. There, INEC representative, of course, made it clear that whatever happens, that whatever the case may be, that the election would take place. According to Oyekomi, who was there that represented INEC, that's the chief press secretary, Rotimi Oyekomi, who represented the chairman of INEC. He said, and I quote, INEC is ready to conduct the governorship elections in Edo and Ondo State scheduled for October 10th. That's for Ondo, but that of Edo State, of course, is this month, September, despite drumbeats of war, as all the logistics needed for the election have been taken care of, end of quote. Now, it's quite an interesting statement coming from INEC, considering the fact that earlier INEC had said that if anything happens security-wise, and if there are no control from different political parties or the stakeholders involved as regarding security, it would consider rescheduling the election. Stay with us on Political Voices. We're going to be doing a review of ministerial performance. Stay with us. On the program this morning, we are going to be reviewing the ministerial performance, and just like the president itemized 9 key areas, we're going to focus on different key sectors. Recall that in December, all the way from China, Wuhan, China, we started hearing about the COVID-19 coronavirus disease, and that development shook the whole world. Nigeria is not left out of it. And we've also seen different sectors in our country affected, from the health to the economy to the education sector. Power is not left out. Works, security, humanitarian, these are various sectors that we're going to be looking at today, and to understand what has happened so far this 1 year that the ministers were sworn in to drive these key sectors. Join us on the Facebook live stream, 925 Dream FM. We are live on a TriCast, the Twitter handle at Dream925FM, on YouTube, Dream TV Enugu. Welcome on board. My name is Ezine Aningwe. We have here with us in the studio Dr. Nnamdi Okenwa. He's a senior lecturer, Mass Communication Department, ESUT, and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
All right. So earlier I talked about the retreat that held yesterday, where the president kicked it open. It's a 2-day retreat, and the expectation or the aim is to look at the performances of the ministers who were sworn in a year after, what they have done so far. And like I itemized, some of the key areas of interest: health, economy, education, power, work, security, humanitarian, side of it. What did you feel, or what went on in your mind yesterday when you saw that retreat?
I thought quite a lot, and I felt quite a lot.
Okay.
Because I started with assessing the nation itself. Because if the nation had been performing generally, you'll be in a position to now assess the individual ministers, whether they have performed very, very well. My mind went back seriously to the 8th Assembly when they suggested that for any minister to be assigned responsibility, when they send their names, they should also put the portfolio they want to assign them to see whether there is some qualification, whether the man will do the job well, or he will still keep going round and round, trial and error until his tenure ends. So you find that when we begin to think in terms of assessing these ministers, you find that they gathered yesterday, and I was wondering who was really assessing them. Or were they coming to give an account of what they have done, which they may not be very, very sure whether they have done well or not done well, because you find that you mentioned the very critical areas: health, for example, labor, for example, works, for example. And I look at the humanitarian area because I like that aspect, and we are the center of that kind of problem. And we know that. Let me begin with the minister in charge of humanitarian affairs. A lot of money was pumped into that ministry. And the money was expected to go round in the name of palliative. I wonder how far the palliative had gone. There are certain people who can't even spell palliative now, not to think in terms of benefiting from palliative. There are certain areas they didn't go to. But we had, I think it was 29 point something million they've already spent when they said they had touched 16 states. I was wondering how much they will take when they go to the other 20 states to make it 36. But I know that many states have not been reached, and money had gone, and the minister is said to be working very seriously, because there are 3 arms to humanitarian disaster and
social development.
Social development, very quite large. But whether that is overwhelming, just like it was overwhelming for Fashola when he had 3 ministries, and they cut away some. Even the 2 left for him, are still quite heavy because it's in one thing I have not gone around the country to assess, but in the southeast, our roads are some kind of disaster. Weri Onitsha Road, Enugu Onitsha Road, Enugu Port Harcourt Road, you find that our roads are some kind of, you need to pray and fast if you want to travel because it's not much. But no matter what it is, they will be assessed on the basis of how far they have gone. And one might be wondering, assuming they have not gone very far, what will happen? Will they be replaced? Or was there any lecture they were going to be given on what they should do so that they start doing? Because I guess that from the beginning, nobody told them what they should do. But perhaps if this kind of a get-together they had will form a quorum for letting them know this is what you're not doing well, this is what you should be doing, then we'll have hope. But I guess that the way we are going, you won't blame them too much. Let me take health. The health sector had been quite a disaster. It has been described in several ways. Consulting clinics, where people don't get health at all. By the time you're through with visiting the hospitals, you get sick by the time you get home. Not only will you get treatment, you may even get the wrong treatment because our nation is bedeviled with drugs that are not correct drugs. The drugs, instead of curing, could. But you see, such drugs are administered in the hospitals, and people go away from the hospitals instead of being happier and more expectant of being well, they get very sick and eventually they die. That's why you find most of those who are very well off junket outside to get treatment. They call it medical tourism now. That's a very fashionable name. Tourism, that is medical, and costing a lot of revenue for the country. So you find that the health sector, not much has been done. But within this pandemic period, I guess I wouldn't say the health minister has done much, but I can tell you that the government has pumped some money, forcefully, compelled to reduce the woes that will have characterized the period. So money was pumped into the health ministry, and that might boost the ego of the health minister. But I think that the man who will be most comfortable, that is my impression, I'm not speaking anybody's mind, is the labor minister, because we are into a period where there is labor crisis. Generally, we know that when prices rise, at a time when people are almost being crushed, there's bound to be labor unrest. The doctors have started.
That's the resident doctors.
Resident doctors have started. And we know the labor union is warming up very, very seriously. The civil rights groups are warming up seriously.
ASU went on strike before the lockdown.
ASU has been on... No, I don't want to touch it. I reserve that sector. The education sector is... there has to be an emergency in that sector.
Well, like you heard me read earlier, the Minister of Education is currently not in the country, according to reports. He was flown abroad due to health challenges. And people have been wondering when the schools will reopen, and the federal government came out to say last week that there is hope that the schools may reopen as soon as possible. We don't have specifics on that, even though we know that the people who are writing exams, the exam classes, had resumed to write the exams. That's the education sector.
They have space because it means, let's say, 4 or 5 classes occupying the entire school. There's plenty of space. But if we had a situation where all of JS3 will come back, JS1, 2, 3 will come back, SS1, 2, 3 will come back, the school will be congested. So the exam is not, they shouldn't clap their hands now that they've done something. You find that when we are thinking of the tertiary institutions, and that's my constituency, the government has not done anything to show that they are willing to open. They are just trying to make an announcement to appease some segments of the people. But you find that the classrooms cannot guarantee social distancing. As in, I can tell you clearly, without any fears at all, at some point in the classroom, those who are standing up are more than those who are sitting down. So that's a disaster. Some stand outside, and if you have a microphone, perhaps you might be helping them, but I doubt whether that's the situation. And the schools don't have money enough. One, either to enlarge the classrooms, or water, not enough. There are no boreholes in the institutions. So providing water, not to think in terms of running water. Oh, it will be a dream that may not come through in time. And then the question of sanitizer, and then having face mask. These are things, and adding to that government has not done, government has not settled ASU. ASU is saying government should not be ready to open because we have an outstanding case of 2009. That should be cleared before we begin to talk of IPs or whatever they call it. That is not the main issue. So you find that the ASU issue is ASU went on strike before the lockdown. So it has not ended. And the ASU president is talking about it. So if you are suggesting and giving parents hope that schools will soon open, students will come back and go back again, which will be terrible. But I know now that we're trying to see what we'll do to recover.
All right.
The
secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, spoke yesterday at that retreat, and he said that government has not been able to effectively track and monitor federal executive council approved policies, projects and programs as required because of the lockdowns that happened due to COVID-19 pandemic. And yes, the retreat, like I said, held yesterday, and it was supposed to engage the ministers to review the first year report of the ministers with respect to the commitment to deliver on the 9 priority areas of this administration. Also here with us in the studio is Mr. Bubago Kafo, Enugu State Coordinator of APC National Coalition for Peace and Mobilization. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Ezina. Good morning, our dear listeners, and good morning, Doctor. I sincerely apologize for my being late, and thank you for having me, Ezina.
Welcome. So, we are reviewing the performance of the ministers. When you saw that retreat that happened yesterday in Abuja, how did that make you feel?
Well, the truth of the matter is that that retreat seems to be a post-COVID retreat. And taking into consideration the impact of COVID on the activities of government and the rest of it, I will be quick to say that most of the ministers, they had virtually nothing to show for their performances. But I will also say that what has been lacking in the government system is tracking of government projects and policies. Because so many times you hear about projects and the policies of government, but little or nothing will be done to follow up the policies and programs. An instance is the case of Enugu-Onitsha Road from 9th Mile to Ugwonyama. It was about last year that the federal government said that 11 billion naira has been allocated and set aside for that project. And since that last year to this moment, nothing has been done on Enugu-Onitsha Road. And previously, I stated that that project was not done because I personally accused the Minister of Works, Babatunde Fashola, for being insensitive on the plight of the Easterners. Because that Enugu-Onitsha Road, it serves anybody coming from the north. You are going to Enugu, you are going to Okigwe, you are going to Owerri, you are going to Bayelsa, you are going to Calabar, you are going to Port Harcourt, you are going to Yenagoa. You must ply that road. So that road is very important to the commercial activity of not only the south, but the entire nation. So you see that if the government tracking system has been up and doing. Even in the midst of COVID, that project would have been tracked. And before and after the project, nothing has started being done on that road. So I will say that the performances of the ministers, to me, is less than expected. And also on the side of the Minister of Interior, you recall that during the inauguration of the ministers, the Minister of Interior said that he knew nothing about interior, and he was a very good engineer, and he lamented that he did not also fit in. He suggested that he did not fit in that ministry, and the security situation has not been the best as Nigerians expected. But I think that irrespective of that, the Inspector General of Police has improved so much on his dispositions, though he's not a minister, but I'm talking generally on the issue of security. So the Minister of Defense should also come up with more decisive approach to the insecurity that has been a problem and a challenge to this government.
All right, now let's go to economy. Still with you, Mr. Bubago. In the address delivered by the president yesterday, he spoke about the GDP, the gross domestic product, GDP of the nation. He said it grew from 0.8% in 2017 to 2.2% in 2019. However, it nosedived when we started experiencing COVID-19 pandemic, and that's the first quarter of this year, 2020. He as well talked about the 2.3 trillion naira economic sustainability plan of the government as one of the ways with which the government has been trying to cushion the effect. The economy, what's your assessment? The Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed.
Well, you will agree with me that the economy of this nation improved marginally between December, January, and February before the COVID-19. You will also agree with me that the participation in agricultural subsector of the economy has also marginally increased. Youth now say that agriculture is a profit-making venture, and Nigeria is trying to re-establish agriculture as a new wealth base. That will help. That helped a lot in cushioning and pushing up the economic system. But lockdown slowed everything down, and it has not been good for the system. And because of that, I will agree with Mr. President that the economic activity grew. However, there are some areas that has been a very serious cog in the wheel of our economic program, which include but not limited to power sector. Though 2-3 weeks back, we can witness that since it was announced that CMS will come to take over power system in Nigeria, electricity distribution marginally improved, and it helped in our economic activity. Though the economy does that as a result of COVID-19, which is not peculiar to Nigeria alone, it's a global challenge. It affected every country of the world, but I believe that post-election activities of the economy will improve marginally, and Nigeria's economic activity will grow. And also the policy of government for economic growth, if followed strictly, because most of the problems and challenges we have, Nigerians will have a very good paperwork, but implementation will be zero. The economic stimulus packages, I have not seen it rolling out. For instance, you see, government will have a plan and policy for multi-purpose farming purpose of cooperative activities, but they will release the fund for farming activities in September, sometimes in October, sometimes in June. That is it makes no sense of the policy. So if you want to start economic activity in Nigeria, we will start at least from January. February, land clearing and all sorts of what will come in. Then by March, you start disposing seedlings, farm input, and the rest of it. But you see that all these things, when you go and see the government paperwork, it will be an excellent one, but implementation and tracking is zero. So, but if all these things will be followed strictly as it was planned, you will discover and agree with me that this government has a very good policy, and Nigeria economy must surely improve.
All right. Dr. Kenwa, we're still on the economy.
Well, you see, let me take from where Bagu came in. Our budget is always very beautiful. They make a lot of, they put things together. But you find that there's a difference between budgeting and allocation and releasing. The amount of money budgeted is not the same as the amount of money released. So the activity you expect as a result of that huge budget you saw will not materialize because the money is, at the end of the day, not released up to half. And so no matter how much of a magician the actors there are, I don't see anything that will be done. So you find that one other thing that is holding us back, a nation that depends on borrowing to grow the economy, that's not growth at all. That's not growth at all. Because the moment you are grabbing the loan, you are thinking of repayment, you are thinking of the interests. By the time you are done with it, that's why a lot of shout has gone on. Whether we believe it or not, we are owing the Chinese a lot. Once you say they give, the question is, when are we going to be able to pay back this? Or like the fears that are going around, that at some point the Chinese will not even want you to pay back. They want to take some of the things they have done and draw money from them. And in fact, own some of these things. In fact, establish industries here, live here, because China is, they need expansion.
Because of their Belgian population.
They need expansion, so they will come here and settle. So you will start learning Chinese will be introduced as one of the languages in our schools. And Chinese money will be used here. At a point, you begin to wonder whether you're a Chinese or whether you're a Nigerian. So you see, if that is the way economy grows, I'm afraid we are not growing. We say, okay, let us diversify. And like Ibagu said, a lot of money was pumped into agriculture. But again, at the point when you want to release, the rains are over. You have not given them the seedlings. The fertilizer is not there. And some of the lands where they will farm are occupied by terrorists. So you begin to wonder whether really we mean it's just appropriate money. Whether the money is well handled is another thing. So when we begin to think in terms of economy, we shouldn't be moving in a vicious circle. When we keep going around in a vicious circle, we are moving. No motion at all economically. So we have now somewhere to fall back on and blame. Oh, COVID has dealt with us. We were not progressing that much before COVID came, but COVID helped us a lot. Okay. Helping us means dealing with us in a way we deserve.
You are listening to Political Voices on 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM review of ministerial performance. Join the conversation here on the Facebook page 925 Dream FM, the Twitter handle at Dream 925 FM. Join us on YouTube, Dream TV Enugu, and submit your take on the matter. Also call us on 0902 00200925 or send us a WhatsApp message on the same number 0902 00200925. Call 0811-2925-925. On the WhatsApp line, we have Ikeme Funachimex from Onsuka, who said the truth is that this administration has actually underperformed and has failed in all ramifications. To me, 70% of the ministers have actually underperformed, and I can categorically say that the only minister who has been working assiduously is the State Minister of Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo. The rest seems to be sleeping and playing politics. He said a situation whereby you appoint a lawyer as Minister of Works and Housing, you will expect nothing sensible. It's about time Nigeria restructure the pattern on how appointments are made. Well, 0811 2925 We have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us, ma'am. Good morning.
Ezzy.
Welcome.
Good morning to the analysts in the house. My name is Odaze. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear
Hello?
you. We can hear you, ma. Go ahead.
Let me start with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. I think that is the worst thing that ever happened to this country. Because that palliative issue, there was no accountability and the palliatives did not get to my area here, and most areas in Delta State, and the Southeast to be precise. I don't know, she just had a free check, an open check, and no one was asking her what she did with all the billions of naira. It is rather unfortunate. Then I go to the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development. How about those economists that Mr. President employed some time ago? And by giving the impression that they were among the best in Africa and indeed the world. How come our economy went so bad? Not just because of COVID. Before COVID, we had started drifting. But our eyes were shut. We didn't see what was going on. And then most of the monies we had, we pumped it into palliative. Now go to agriculture. When they started, this COVID thing started, this palliative again, they emptied all the silos in the north. All our grains were lost. They distributed these grains up country. They didn't bring any here. They didn't bring any. We had a lot of them in Niger State. What did they do with it? Now we have a Ministry of Education. Education. Now, what are we doing? We are opening schools. How ready are we? Those of us in the urban area, we say, oh, we are ready. How about the rural areas? What have we done about the schools? What of the teachers? Have they been trained on COVID and all that? You see, we just use this COVID thing as a shield to cover up. You want to talk about labor? There is also a minister for solid minerals. He came on air the other day. He told us how well Nigeria is. We have minerals all over the country. Have we exploited it? I can go on and on and on.
All right.
Okay, you can't just, I don't understand what is going on. I think we should have a rethink. These ministers have not fared well at all. What of our Minister for External Affairs? God, look at what is going on with Ghana. Huh? So I can just, okay, let me just leave it like
Let's
that.
allow others to join
have
the conversation.
God.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution, Dr. Daze. Omeya Sunday from Nsuka said, I think, in my view, being objective, I don't think they have done well. That's the ministers. For example, I've not seen much impact in education, information, agriculture, and so on. That is not to say that some of them have not been trying, like the likes of Amechi, Sirika, Onyama, and Ngige are doing well. For me, they have so far measured up. Other ministers should brace up or be replaced, especially in the education ministry. All right. On the WhatsApp line, you can join us there, 0902 00 20925. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning to you. What's your name, sir?
Hello, good morning.
Welcome. What's your name, please?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I can't hear you. Good morning.
All right, we can hear you, but for some reason you can't hear us. Okay, please, once you call, we can hear you. Go ahead and make your submission, okay? Ugwanyi Valentine Chijoke wrote us from Nsuka. Good morning and happy 8th anniversary to Dream FM. Thank you. The ministers have failed woefully. Insecurity is worsening every day. No effort to attend to roads that are death traps. Our educational sector is dilapidating year by year. Our health sector is nothing to write home about. Strikes, both in education sector, health sector. Otherwise, they've been the order of the day. We are dazzling to survive from COVID-19, but what the federal government could do is to hike fuel price and increase electricity tariff. What a country, he said. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning to you. What's your name? Welcome.
I know you cannot. I'm not hearing you, but you can hear me.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
My name is Mr. Ndubisi. I'm calling from Anambra State, to be precise.
Go ahead, Ndubisi.
Talking about the ministers, I don't expect much from the ministers because when you are a minister and you bring a good proposal to the president, who will now ask you to do it, and the proposal was jettisoned, or you are forced to drop that idea, what do you do? The administration has an agenda, and every minister must conform with the agenda, regardless of how much you know what you want to do. But provided that the presidency is going in one direction, you have to abandon that your good idea and follow that particular direction. So I wasn't expecting any. There is no point trying to analyze them one minister to the other. All of them are fair woefully. As the government, they serve fair equally. So are we talking about the service chief? All these people are made up of this government. So the government has so everything about it fair.
Thank you, DBC.
Let us not begin to pinpoint one minister. There is no minister that will work in this particular administration. When the main captain that is driving the boat is telling you it's good to go, no matter your good, he will not take it.
Thank you
he will
very
force
much.
you to follow his own idea. That is why we found Nigeria like this.
All right, thank you, Ndubisi, for your contribution. It would be good if you also give us a specific details. Yes, I meant to say specific details of your criticism, so not just to generalize.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
This is Olivia Michael, speaking from a club.
Michael, go ahead.
I want to congratulate Dream FM for their anniversary.
Thank you, Michael.
Bagu Kafo, I want to also congratulate you for being vocal despite the party you are. I want to tell you that this present administration in this country, they are not doing good to this country. All of them, they have failed us. Okay, what about petroleum? When good luck is in power, petroleum is 85 naira. People are crying. Today is 150. Nobody is talking, and our president is the minister of petroleum. Nobody is talking. Thank you, Ezine.
Thank you, Michael Olinya, for your contribution. On the Facebook live stream, we have Festus IK Ede, who said, good morning. It is quite unfortunate that ministerial appointment in Nigeria has always been a square peg in a round hole situation. What do you expect when the lawyers manning the areas that are supposed to be manned by an engineer? The appointment has always been about compensating political associates. God bless Nigeria, he said. Ifeanyi John Paul said, the country is practically roasting. That represents the overall performance of the ministers who are the right-hand men of the president. Nothing is working other than hikes upon hikes of the prices of essential goods and services. In terms of infrastructural development, in all fairness, this government, that's the Minister of Works, is stressed and southwest, but in our southeast, his performance is minus 1%. I don't know how you arrived at that, though. Minister of Information is serving his purpose effectively, but we know who he is serving. Most of the other ministers are more or less dormant. Our own Minister of Foreign Affairs is trying, but he has not been getting results. Nigerians continue to be lampooned abroad. Capio Nigeria also joined the conversation. There is a big disconnect between policy and implementation. Budgeted funds are sometimes not cash-backed, and in instances when those funds are utilized due to poor documented financial information accessible to the public, they inhibit holding public office holders accountable. We need to make available to the public through online access annual budget implementation reports. Fiscal expenditure remains public information and should not be restricted for any reason. 0811292595. Good morning, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Nathan. I'm Joe Mike calling from Abakaliki.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, first of all, I would want to ask who is the government? Because if Nigeria can implement the half of the policies that they have brought up over the past few years, this country would have been in a different pedestal. Now, we are talking about ministers. We're talking about the level that we have gotten so far. Who assesses those things? If policies have been put in place, money released, these same people that are supposed to still supervise. So these are the problems. The same people who generate policies, release funds are not released, they don't supervise, they are coming for retreat. I mean, it is just around the same people. We're not moving anywhere, and until we get it right, nothing is going to work. Meanwhile, your network is not very strong around this place anymore. I don't know what Game FM can do about it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for giving us that feedback. All right, 0811292595. Join us on Political Voices. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome. What's your name, sir?
I don't think I can hear you, but let me proceed.
Go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm calling you from Enugu today.
Okay.
Good morning to all of you in the studio.
Thank you.
For me, these ministers will have on board. Some of them are trying a little. I wouldn't like condemning them totally. They are trying as much as they can currently. We talk about the Minister of Solid Mineral. The other day, I think he was on air telling us what the ministry is doing. I think we needed this kind of telling the people what you do in your ministry. If most of all these ministers will come maybe on air or even on television and what have you, to tell the people what they have been doing and in their various ministry, I don't think all of us should be condemning them the way we are condemning them currently. I think the Minister of Solid Minerals, he talked about what the ministry is doing in Ajokuta and what they are doing in other areas where we have our solid minerals.
Okay.
So likewise, the education, the Minister of State for Education, for me, he has been trying. I think in that ministerial PTF, what he used to tell Nigerians, for me, I think he has been trying. In some other, maybe let me say, other ministries, they might not be doing as much as we want it. But let's also not forget, whatever thing this minister does, the president will take the accolade, whether they do bad or they do good.
Very well then. Thank you for your submission. On the WhatsApp line, Japheth from Asaba said, this current administration has nothing to offer. Most of the ministers are wrongly placed. Someone who studied banking and finance is a minister of solid mineral. Well, like you heard, the person who called was giving him quite some commendation there. All right, we have more of your contributions here on the WhatsApp line 0902 002095. This one is saying greetings to everyone in the studio. Let's stop criticizing and support the present ministers. When you thank someone for what he or she has done, the person might do more. But truth be told, these ministers should be reshuffled and let farmers work with hoe and cutlass. Then let teachers teach with chalk and board. Are we still doing that in this 21st century? I mean, Mr. President should have assigned the ministers based on their areas of specialization. Michael Abuchibo from Festac Town. All right, thank you. Said Ibubago Kafo, speak up your... All right. I don't know what that is, but I guess he's saying good job, Mr. Ibubago Kafo. Ntiwo Biora said all the ministers in this administration have measured up to an average performance. They found out that the system is corrupt, so they decided to use our taxpayers' money to minister to their own needs and not the needs of the masses. All right, may God help this country. Back here in the studio, gentlemen, let me begin with you, Dr. Kenwa. Let's go to power. You know, we're talking about hikes, both in fuel prices and, of course, the electricity tariff also shot up this recent time. And we heard the Minister of Power, Salim Maman, what he said recently. Now, he said with the securing of $6.150 billion in the funding, that's talking about a recent amount given out by the federal government. The federal government said it has secured $6.15 billion for infrastructural development in the power sector. So with that said amount, according to Maman, he said this administration has commenced the implementation of critical infrastructure that will enable the country achieve generation, transmission, and distribution of 25,000 megawatts of electricity by the year 2025. What is your assessment of the power sector?
I want to bring in the issue of South Africa. South Africa has a population of 48 million people, but they have power 45 megawatts. So you can see they don't have that kind of problem. But in Nigeria, we are bedeviled with power problems. Look at it this way. At times, we're talking about estimated billing. You collect money from people, not really telling them how much they have consumed or why they are paying what they are paying. At some point, you hear that, oh, we want to meter everybody to be on prepaid. Where are the meters? They're not coming. At some point, they say, look, we're coming to take the one you are using to replace it with a new one, and that new one will cost quite a lot. For example, they came to my house, and they told me that I need to come and change to the new one. Then they said I applied. They told me that they will bring the new one at the sum of 89,000 naira. 89,000 naira. I told them to wait. Let me be using this old one until I'm able to raise 89,000 naira. And you hear again that the prices have gone up. There is disaster in that sector. There is disaster in that sector. It's not really because of the person who is there. It will depend on the overall attitude. If we are thinking of 11,000 megawatts by 2023, that's a shame. A country of over 200 million.
25,000 for 2025.
That is terrible. So you find that not enough is going into the thinking there. You see, at times people think that Nigerians don't appreciate people. No, it's not true. Check the man in charge of African Development Bank. When Adesina was the Minister of Agriculture, Nigerians knew that he was working. And when he left Nigeria, he received the promotion that he deserved. But I think that the people who are on the stage now, they stand a chance of being demoted, or the kind of thing we had in the primary school. You have fair pass, or that kind of thing. They have really not performed. It may not be because they don't want to perform. The question may be, are they given the free hand to perform?
Another issue pointed out by the Minister of Power is that the transmission company of Nigeria cannot wheel more than 6,000 megawatts as it stands. They said if they do that as it stands without this revamping of the infrastructure, there would be a total collapse of the system. And as it also stands, the distribution companies at the discos do not have the capacity to take more than 5,000 megawatts as it stands. Hence this amount that he mentioned, which has been approved by the federal government. And of course, we also saw in the papers that a consortium of foreign investors are looking to invest $5 billion in a renewable energy projects across the country. And they presented a proposal to that effect to the Minister of Power, Saleh Maman. Mr. Bubago.
Let me just chip in a word. In organized crimes, power is not put into the hands of private individuals. It's a very sensitive issue. Very sensitive issue that drives development. Now it is put into the hands of private individuals who are profit-oriented. So you find that they don't care. All they want to do is let me make profit out of that, the essence of the business they're in. If the government decides that this is a very sensitive area and takes it on and attaches greater seriousness to it, I think Nigerians will have the light that we deserve. At the moment, we're in darkness, and it's becoming too long.
Mr. Bubago.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about power, unless you still want to talk about it.
And also the about fuel.
The Ministry of Youth and Sports, yes, the Petroleum Ministry, okay.
You see, when one of our callers said that during Jonathan, fuel was sold at 97 naira, 85 naira a liter. Well, he may not be entirely right, because before Jonathan exited at the president of Nigeria, isn't it, you can bear witness that fuel went as high as 600 naira a liter. It was the coming in of this administration that began to play it down.
Well, 600 naira wouldn't have been the official cost, but that would be,
whether it is official or
that
not,
would be the
whether
black
it is
market.
official or not, the fact on ground is that before Jonathan exited, in Nigeria, under PDP administration, fuel was being sold at 600 naira a liter. Now, this government came in and they decided to finally deregulate the entire petroleum subsector. Gas has been deregulated, kerosene has been deregulated, and fuel finally has been deregulated. So the issue of subsidy is no longer high as it used to be. So that is on the side of it. And it will also take remark and cognizance of the fact that since this administration came in, there was no single day where Nigerians witnessed shortage of fuel. Even during this last Christmas and any other Christmas, you will go to filling stations seamlessly and purchase your fuel and go your way. So the increase in fuel, to me, is as a result of the deregulation. Furthermore, I will also say that on the increase in electricity tariff, Nigerians may not be entirely worried about the increase in tariff, but Nigerians are worried that even when the increase is made, it is still based on estimated billing system, which is an attempt, which is the system that enables the discourse to defraud Nigerians, which is not good. This government is supposed to, when you are talking about corruption, corruption emanates from government policies. The policy of this administration would have been to stamp out corruption in the electricity subsector. Dr. Kenwa said that even if electricity is left in the hand of private individual, but they should be checked. This issue of estimated billing is a fraudulent practices by the discos. They have failed woefully to supply Nigerians with a prepaid meter, highly calibrated. But because they knew if they give Nigerians these meters, they will not have opportunity of defrauding them. So they resorted to estimated billing. Even when there is, like Okenwa said, a functional meter in Okenwa Sasa, likewise every other household, they decided to come and destroy it. Yes. Because it's giving accurate billing.
Well, remember, they have a regulator. NEC is their regulator. And yes, at some point, we also heard that, these discos had to, give out the contract of this metering to people like meter asset providers, which yes, took over the metering process. So it's directly not in their domain. Well, as we round off, Mr. Bubagu, is a quick question I'll need you to give just, a quick answer to. You said earlier that most ministers in this administration have nothing to show. Are you calling for a reshuffling like one of the contributors said?
Not only that I'm calling for a reshuffle, that any proactive government need to know. When I was in primary school, in secondary school, and in other climb, whenever there is a football match, the full timing is 90 minutes. At 30 minutes, you have to make some new inputs. This government, to escape the toga of ineptitude, should inject new blood into the system.
Right.
I once again call for the removal of Babatunde Raji-Fashola as the Minister of Works. He is a misfit to that ministry.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your takes or your contributions on the topic of discussion today. Mr. Bubago Kafe, Enugu State Coordinator, APC National Coalition for Peace and Mobilization. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Also, thank you, Dr. Kenwa. Dr. Nnamdi Okenwa is a Senior Lecturer, Mass Communication Department, Institute and Public Affairs Analyst. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
Well, we can't stop talking about these ministers and their offices as much as we could this day on Political Voices. It's a conversation will continue beyond today. Thank you for joining us on Facebook, 925 Dream FM, and other social media platforms. Join us on YouTube, Dream TV Enugu, and subscribe to our channel. My name is Ezin Naning. On behalf of my production crew led by Oke Odogu, thank you to Alex Obodo for streaming live on these platforms, and thank you to Lutando Kerike for helping out with the production here in the studio. Stay for the news at 10 on 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM.
My dream, my reality.